Dear friends, we are today Thursday, and this has been a big week. We're leading up to 70 years of the Rebbe becoming Rebbe. Spoke about this week was a change, transition in power in the United States. We're in our second week of lockdown in Quebec. A lot going on. A lot of things are shaking and moving. And I wanted to share for our inspiration series number 191 something from this week's Torah portion. So many beautiful messages, lessons. And one of the things that we find, which is fascinating, is that the first mitzvah that was given to the Jewish peoples in this week's Torah portion is the mitzvah of counting time, months, years. We have to follow our calendar by the moon, the lunar schedule. And Hashem says you have to count time, and He gives the second mitzvah of bringing the Paschal Lamb based on how we count time. The question is, here we're talking about the Jewish people who are slaves, who can't even catch their breath. Moshe couldn't communicate to them properly. They couldn't even pay attention to his talks. God has to wake up the Jewish people. Why is He talking to them about time? I mean, that's a technicality. Once you have a purpose and a goal in life, then you can start dealing about time management, how to spend your time in the best way, how to count your time. Where does time come into the picture, especially while we're still in Egypt? And reflecting on what we've been going through. And there's so much that we are not able to do anymore. And so other freedoms that still want to be taken away from us, to stop our movements, don't enjoy any pleasures. There's one thing no one can take away from us. That is time. The most valuable commodity in the world is time. You know, you look at busy people, how they turn a day, a 12, 16-hour day, into so much productivity. Unfortunately, look at some people. They can take that same 12, 16-hour day and they look back and they don't even know what they did with their time. Time just flew by with nothing to show for it. Even when the Torah talks about Abraham, it tells us about how precious time was by him. God tells the Jewish people, before you get serious about life, realize that life itself is serious. The time we have in this world is a gift given by God, that every moment is precious. Think about time and how important it is. And every minute that passes is a minute that you'll never get back. And I remember growing up hearing how the Rebbe, who was celebrating and marking 70 years of leadership, the Shabbos, seldom left his office besides going home or visiting his father-in-law's gravesite. 3 times he went to the Catskill Mountains in the early years of the 50s, the early 60s, when they established sleepaway religious camps, which was something very new, and he wanted to encourage something for the youth. We traveled and spent a few hours going and coming and staying there. Never took a day's vacation. Time was very precious. And he once exclaimed that the trip that he took, which we felt was very important, but the time he sat in the car, when obviously he's sitting in a car and the roads then weren't that great either, and it's bumping and you can't really study properly and you can't sit in a comfortable way to be able to do something else. He said he never made up that time. Years later, he said, I never made up that time that I lost, those few hours. The Rebbe was a busy man. He accomplished so much. But that's what he was not upset. It was a choice he made, but that's what he was lamenting. He never made up that time. Time is the most powerful thing. You have to learn how to make time work for you. It's a fascinating story with the great Rebbe who, there was a Rebbe who was traveling, not a Chabad Rebbe, was traveling, was going back 150, 200 years ago, through Europe, Eastern Europe, and he was staying in an inn, and the guy gave him a room. And the next morning, the Rebbe goes to the innkeeper and says, there's something in that room that's very special. He says, what's special? He says, that clock. Where, what's that clock all about? So the innkeeper is thinking, he says, that clock, yes. Once I had a great Rebbe staying here, and he got stuck here for a few days. The weather was bad, and he had to pay up, and he had no money. So he left the clock. He said, instead of money, I'll give you my clock. It's a very precious thing I have. I'll give you the clock. I didn't know what to do with it, but at least I took it. I put it in one of the rooms. So when the person who was talking to the innkeeper heard this, he said, now I understand. You see, most clocks, as they tick minute after minute, reminds us how much time we have lost, reminds us how much we have squandered our time and we haven't used it properly. It makes you depressed, it makes you sad. He said, but this clock that this Rebbe owned, every minute it ticks, it is full of the spirit of Mashiach. We're a minute closer to Mashiach. Another minute of good things that have happened. It drives you to become busy, to focus on your goal, to make something happen, something special, to bring redemption. He says that's a clock that pushes you to fill that moment with everything that's right and important. So utilize time the right way. Make time work for you. We have more time now than we ever had before. Even busy people have more time because you can't do any other extracurricular things. Use your time in the most productive way because when things get back to normal, the one thing that you'll feel bad is that you have no more time left to do the things you wanted to do. So make time work for you. And when you make time work for you, it brings you the greatest blessings. And you feel like Abraham, Zakin, Baba Yamim, you feel so fulfilled, so productive. It just rises you higher and higher. And that's why they say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because the one who appreciates time is able to do more with time. The people don't appreciate, understand time, sometimes just look at the clock to pass by the hours and wondering why it's not passing by quick enough. They never get anything done in time. There's never enough time to make anything happen. So God bless, have a great day. Love you all.